Teddy? Do you want to go for a walk? Do you want to go for a walk, darling? Oh, you do? You do? Do you want to go to the beach? You glad that's over? Still loving my tap. This was supposed to be temporary, this little water container, but it's still going strong. And I thought as a change, as it is sort of autumn now, I'm going to have a change from tea. I've bought myself some Horlicks, the instant Horlicks, you just add boiled water. Have a cup of that, and I made lemon cake this morning. I'll have a slice of that as well. Oh, I won't eat it all, obviously, but I'll have the biggest piece. It's very lemony. Eddie wanted a treat. Likes it. Gently. Good girl. Good girl. Hello everybody and welcome back. First of all, I would like to say thank you to everybody who was quite worried about me after my walk in Oxford. And if you haven't seen the video, I'll put a link up here. Hopefully that will work, that you can watch. There's 2 episodes. Richard and I did some of the Thames Path a couple of weeks ago, and by the last day I was ruined. My feet were in shreds, so I was a bit grumpy on the last day, but I am now fully recovered, so thank you to everybody who wished me well. So Teddy and I are in Porthcawl today. You've got your special collar on today, haven't you? Because you've got a bit of a starring role in today's film. So we are in Porthcawl. We are on another lockdown, a local lockdown here. Pretty much all of South Wales now is. And I'm sure there's many of you who are in the same situation. So today I want to talk a little bit about what my plans are for during the lockdown. And I'm also going to answer a couple of questions from one of you. So, hi Nigglemoth. Nigglemoth wanted to know if I do anything particular to winterise the van, and also if I had any tips for travelling with dogs. So I'm going to cover that as well today. So potentially this lockdown could be worse than the last one, mainly because we're approaching the season of dark, cold, rainy days. But I've decided, I've always enjoyed the principles of hygge. Every winter I kind of embrace the dark days and have all the candles and fairy lights going in the house. I have always kept this book in the van. It's called The Little Book of Hygge, and it's written by Mike Wicking. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce the name. He works at the Happiness Research Institute in Copenhagen. Now, what a fantastic job. But they've researched, and obviously the Danes have a lot more dark days than us here in the UK. But they embrace it and they do all the things I enjoy, sort of eating cake, having nice hot drinks, fairy lights, candles, etc. and just sort of family activities. So I've decided that's what the autumn and winter is all about. We haven't got much choice anyway. We're going to have to be with our closest family that we live with, and we're going to have to stay reasonably close to home as well. So for me, it's going to be more baking. Richard bought me for Christmas last year the K-Mix, like a Kenwood mixer. And I've used it quite a lot this year, but I'm thinking for the winter, it's going to be more bread, more different types of bread going on, and baking cakes. As you know, me and my sweet tooth, I can always be convinced to make a nice cake. So yeah, more of that. I'm probably going to pile on weight this year. I'll deal with that another time. I also enjoy knitting and crafts, so I will be producing more and more knitting, and I find that quite therapeutic. I also love good films. Now, I don't watch TV. I don't really like the stuff that comes on live TV, but I don't mind a good drama or documentary maybe. But I do love films, and I've got the Amazon Prime account, and there's nothing like on a cold day when the house is all warm, snuggle up on the sofa with a really good film. So yeah, I'll be making playlists of all the films I want to watch. And whilst we've got to stay reasonably close to home, I include the Bongo as part of my home because it is, I've said this before, for me, during lockdown, this van became another room, and it's certainly been very beneficial for my mental health through the last lockdown and through the summer. And I'm so pleased I was able to get away as much as I did over the last 2 or 3 months. Camping, did some lovely camping trips, and Oxford obviously, and I'm just so pleased that I took advantage when we could go, because who knows when we're going to be allowed to do that again. So I hope all of you have had some really good summer memories in your vans as well. And if you haven't bought a van yet, then I guess you'll be sort of planning and searching for your future vans. And whilst I consider the van to be my second lounge, if you like, it's becoming more and more my home office these days as well. So I'm going to make the space more functional for all of my knitting that I shall be doing as well. So we are only allowed to travel, unless you've got a very good reason anyway, within, I live in Bridgend, so Bridgend County Borough, and most of South Wales is under the same restrictions. So I've lived in Bridgend almost all of my life, and I think I know the borough pretty well. But do I? I'm going to spend lockdown exploring my area. I've got the OS map for our local area here, and I'm going to look to see if there's any places I haven't been to before that are worth looking at, and going for a day in the van, bringing my lunch or having a drink anyway, and explore around and really get to know my area better than I've ever known it before. So that's my little challenge. And the other thing I'm doing is learning new skills. Just before the last lockdown, I left my last job. Now, I've been in medical sales for about 20 years, and there was a number of reasons that I decided to leave, but the lockdown was certainly one of them. And so I'm not currently working, but I have decided to take this perfect opportunity to learn new skills. So I have already, since February, set up this channel, which, believe me, has been a very steep learning curve. And you're all on this journey with me. So I'm learning as I go, and about the editing side of it. And I'm hoping further improvements will be made. But I have discovered there is a wealth of learning online, and the majority of it is completely free of charge. So there's something called Google Digital Garage, and they do from CV writing, cover letter writing, through to digital marketing. And there are hours and hours of online learning that you can do, and you can brush up your skills for the digital world, which is where everything is going after all. So whilst I'm not a Luddite, I haven't really kept up to date with all of the social media and all of that. So I'm enjoying learning all about that. And of course, YouTube have their own sort of training as well to get better content. And I've also done a couple of courses on Udemy, which is an online learning, which covers pretty much every subject under the sun. Honestly, I couldn't believe how many courses there are, everything that you can imagine. So I've done a couple of courses. One of them is on digital marketing, and the other was on content creation for YouTube. And if you've never done a course on there before, when you do your first course, it's a lot of money off. I don't think I'd pay the full price, to be honest, but the introductory offers are quite good. And I have absolutely loved doing those courses. So if any of you are in the position where you're wondering what you're going to do with yourself during these long, dark days, and if you're interested in learning, as I say, have a look at the online stuff that's completely free of charge. Or Udemy, if there's anything that you particular learning, burning desire to learn, then that has been a real pick-me-up for me. So moving on to talk about Teddy and the things I found useful when travelling with Teddy. Now, a little bit about Teddy. She is 9 years old this month, in fact. Happy birthday, Teddy. She doesn't look 9. I think she's quite puppyish sometimes, but she's a Lhasa Apso. So the Lhasa Apso breed were originally bred for the monks in Tibet, and they were bred to be sort of companion dogs, but also guard dogs, because they have very, very acute hearing. So they were like the early warning guard dogs for the monks. So Teddy has very acute hearing, which is good in many ways because she does make an excellent guard dog in the van. Not that she could attack anyone, but the fact that she does alert me if there's anybody going near the van. She gets very, very protective. As soon as we get in the camper van, she barks when anybody approaches the van, dogs as well. When she's out on the lead, she's absolutely fine and she doesn't bark or get aggressive to other dogs. But she becomes quite territorial when we're in the camper van. When we're in the house, she does bark when she hears his noise outside, so she's like a doorbell really. But the drawback with this is obviously the barking does get really, really noisy sometimes. And if I'm trying to be stealth in the van, I don't really want her barking. But on the other hand, I want her to bark to let me know that there's somebody around. But the other thing is it does make her very sensitive to loud noise, so she doesn't really enjoy walking around busy roads where there's traffic noise. She gets quite stressed. She's a bit like me. They say dogs become like their owners, don't they? So both of us really appreciate the quiet and not loud traffic noise. So in a sense, we're quite well suited. We both like the same things. She is a perfect van dog for me. And the reason I chose a Lhasa Apso breed in the first place was the size. She's a nice size. And a major contribution was the fact that she doesn't molt. We have between us, Richard now and I have 3 cats. And between the 3 cats, molting hair everywhere, I don't think I could cope with another animal hair in the house. It's bad enough keeping on top of the hoovering as it is. So Teddy doesn't molt, and that's absolutely brilliant. On the flip side of that is her coat does grow very long, so she's quite costly to keep her groomed. She's done about every 6 weeks or so, and I spend more on her grooming than I do on my hair, as you can probably tell. She's just been groomed actually, so at the moment she does look really cute. And she changes personality because when her hair gets long, she just becomes a different character. So some of the main things I found when travelling with Teddy, she doesn't particularly enjoy travelling in the car. She doesn't get sick or anything, but she has always, from when she was a little puppy, she will sit and just look at me the whole time. After a few miles, I suppose, she does relax a bit, and I noticed if we go away for a couple of days at a time, by the time sort of 2 or 3 days in, she's floppy and relaxed and absolutely fine. But she doesn't particularly enjoy driving, I would say. So I bought her one of these travelling harnesses. I know a lot of people have crates. There's various ways of securing dogs when you're driving, but for Teddy, this has always worked. So I think I got it from Pets at Home, and it clips over her. But the main thing is it's got this sort of loop on the back. So once this harness is on her, the seatbelt flips through here and clips on like a normal seatbelt. So it's pretty easy and quick, and it does keep her safe. And I think she is happier when she feels secure rather than obviously loose in the chair. And it's quite quick to release her. And once we get to where we're going and I release this, she's literally leaping into my arms to get out of the van. I talked about this earlier in the summer. I bought it this year. It was in Aldi. It was on one of their camping specials. And it's a collapsible food bowl. So it opens out, and then there's these 2 containers, silicone, which pop up. So you could put water in one, food in one, water in the other. They are absolutely brilliant. I've used them all summer. They're attached with Velcro, so for washing you can just peel them off and they go in the wash up very easily. But if you're going on hikes and walks, they've got a little carabiner on there, so you can attach it to your rucksack. I don't do that. It lives in the van. But it's just, it's much cleaner and it's convenient, and it folds up to nothing, so it goes in one of these cupboards when we're done. And I'm sure you can find similar online, but that's been brilliant. Today's a lovely dry day, so we've been for a walk and Teddy has unusually managed to stay clean. Normally, because she's got such a short stature, if there's been a bit of rain, when she walks, it all splashes underneath her and she ends up with like a tide mark of grey all around her. And so for that reason I keep a brush, because once she's dried, she's pretty easy to brush out, and she does come up quite clean without a bath really. So that's one lucky thing. It's like a magic coat. When she's dry, she doesn't look as dirty as when it's wet. But yeah, I keep a brush there. She enjoys getting a brush, which is quite fortunate, because you do have to keep on top of the grooming with Teddy, otherwise she develops mats and knots, which are a nightmare. The other thing I keep in the van is a microfiber towel for her, because as I said, even if it's not particularly rainy out, it doesn't take a lot of moisture on the ground for Teddy to get really wet. And so the microfiber towel is it's not particularly a dog one, it's just one that I bought from a camping shop, and it's brilliant. It holds an awful lot of moisture, so you can just dab her down with this, and saves getting mud on all the furniture here. Not that I'm that fussy about it. It is a practical van, and the good thing is, even with the mud, we've got a cordless hoover in the house, so it's got various attachments, which is great. When the van gets home, then you can really give it a good vacuum and clean it up. The other thing which lives in the van is one of these stakes. I'm sure most of you who've got dogs will have these. Literally, as soon as I get out of the van, if I'm setting up camp, the first thing I do is put the stake in the ground and put Teddy attached to it. And you obviously can move it around depending on whether there's sun or shade. So yeah, I'd be lost without that. And the other thing I keep in the van is her little coat. Now, don't keep it in here in the summer, but come the winter, it's a little duffel coat for Teddy, because when her hair is long, she doesn't really need it. But if she's been clipped and it's cold, then yeah, just keep that. And it keeps her, that can go in the washing machine easier than Teddy, so keeps her a bit cleaner. I don't have any special bed in the van for Teddy. At the moment, she is sleeping on a mat on the floor, but at night she sleeps on the bed or wherever I am. I know a lot of you with big dogs, you have various hammocks and things for dogs, and cages and crates, and some of you use the awning. But for Teddy, she is so little, to be honest. She doesn't sleep on the bed at home. She's got her own little bed. But when we're away, and also it helps keep me warm. So there's Teddy fast asleep. We've had a little walk, so she's quite tired at the moment. But the mat she's on, I think I bought that one in Dunelm. They're called Magic Mats, I think. And they are absolutely brilliant, because when I had this conversion done, I had the original carpet taken up, and I must admit that carpet did used to get really, really grubby. So I have vinyl on the floor now, which is much more forgiving. I can just sweep that out with a hand brush. But those mats are great. They absorb a lot of water and mud. And the really good thing about them is you can just chuck them in the washing machine. So yeah, that is a really, really good little mat. So the other question I was asked was anything special I do for the winter. Well, I know there are some people who sawn the vehicles over the winter and sort of mothball them. And I guess if you're going to do that, there are things you need to do. I'm not quite sure what. So, if you need to know that level of detail, then ask on the forums. For me, this van is the only vehicle I have, so it's used all through the winter as any other car would be. So there's nothing in particular I do other than have an annual service, and it's just had its service now. The thing to be aware of, if any of you have got a Bongo in particular that hasn't been undersealed, then get it undersealed. They weren't built for British roads, so the salt that gets used and grit in the winter will corrode the underside like nothing else. So yeah, definitely want to get your van undersealed, and I think they need topping up every couple of years. This was undersealed when it was new, when it wasn't new, it was new to me when it was imported, and I had it redone last winter. So having said that, rust still happens, so get on top of the rust treatment, I would say. Other than that, practical things. For example, I do keep sleeping bags in the van over the summer, and bedding, etc. I would say that if you're not going to be using the van for weeks or months at a time, I would take bedding in, because it will get damp spots on it. I think the pop tops, again, when I used to have a pop top roof, the canvas would get little bits of mould on it, which you can treat. I just use lemon juice, to be honest, and sort of washing up liquid, and that seemed to work. But I think if you're going to drive the van, getting the top up on any dry day just to air it. Otherwise it does get to smell a bit damp up there. And the other thing I would say is, if you're not going to use the van, really get rid of any dried food that you have in the van, because the last thing you want are rodent visitors nibbling on all of your dried goods. So yeah, I would do that, and empty your water tanks if you have them. Now, I don't have water tanks. You've seen the little container I use for water, so that doesn't need draining. I just take that in the house. But for me, I'm probably going to use this as much, especially now with this lockdown, as I do in the summer. And so there's nothing particularly different that I would do winter other than the service, which, as I say, has been done for this year. Yeah, just the general keeping on top of cleaning, and which reminds me, we have bought some wax for the van. So that does need doing, and we haven't done it yet. So that's a really good reminder. We need to get the wax on and wax off. And yeah, no, I would say just enjoy your vans. I can honestly say, if I was outside now, it would be cold. But we've been parked up here, the sun is coming in, and it's really warm and cosy in here. And yeah, absolutely no heating necessary today. Of course, it's a different matter when the sun isn't shining, and yes, the vans will get cold then. But yeah, love your van in the winter and just see it as a different way of using your van. So I think that's covered off those two questions, and I've updated you on what I'll be doing. So I'll be exploring my local area, my very local area. So I am going to continue, hopefully anyway, the plan is to continue uploading videos every week, but they're not going to be from far-flung destinations. Not that they've been from far-flung destinations over the summer, but I will need some help with content because there's only so much of my local area that I can film. So like the questions I've had today, it would be really great if you could shout out some questions for me on anything, me, the van, life in general, opinions on anything, and I can cover those in future videos. So either put the questions in the comments below, or you can send them on a direct message to me over on Instagram. But yeah, it's been quite nice having questions to answer today. But me and Teddy are going to head home now. I think we've left Richard on his own there long enough, and we will see you on a future video. Hope you're all taking care there and staying safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.